Alrighty guys, I know you guys have been asking me to do a video all about layering, and even though I've touched on it in many different videos, and I actually also did a video on two fragrances that I really love the smell of when they're layered together. But today I've got 20 of my favorite layering combinations, so 40 total fragrances, one combination each, so a total of 20. So if you want to find out about these 20 greatest layering combinations, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, today I'm talking about layering fragrances, but I'm not going to discuss the technicalities behind layering fragrances. I'm just going to discuss some of the best layering combinations. And we've got fragrances from designers, niche, maybe some indie, some unknown brands, some very popular brands. Some of the combinations are from the same brand, some of the combinations are from different brands together. But I think these are all great, and I've used a lot of these. But you know what? Here's the thing. A lot of these are accidental discoveries for me, not necessarily something that I read about that, you know, the combination would work great. There are a few that are like ones that I was told will be great, but the majority of them are accidental discoveries. And also me thinking back on specific fragrances, and I'm going, okay, that fragrance and that fragrance might smell like that fragrance. Why don't I combine it and see how it is? And yes, that's what I get with the layering combination. So there's all different ways I've come up with these layering combinations. But I've got 20 of them here. And if you're into the idea of layering and you want to find some great combinations, then this is the video for you. So I'll get to the combinations with the total of 40 fragrances. But before I do, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click that subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So the very first one I'm going to start with is one that I did a whole video on, and this was not an accidental discovery. This is something I was told by the folks behind the brand of NISHANE. They layer fragrances such as HACIVAT with 100 Silent Ways, and the combination is one of the most sexiest that I've smelled. And I actually have smelled this combination on the owners of the brand, and they told me that this is what they do. And it really is intoxicatingly really, really sexy. With NISHANE's HACIVAT, it's chock full of kind of bitter, sharp combination of oak moss with woods with pineapple, and then with 100 Silent Ways, it's the gardenia with and other white flowers with vanilla. So it's a kind of like a opposites attract kind of a combination, because you got kind of cooler notes here and warmer notes here, and the two together is really, really heavenly. Great, great, very sexy combination. So if you have these two fragrances, I highly recommend you do the layering combination, and check out my video on how I do it, the two together. But what I would recommend is whenever you're trying to layer fragrances, lay down the more stronger fragrance first, and then the fresher or the lighter fragrance on top. And you're gonna have to like control your sprays depending on which you think might be stronger. So if one requires 2 sprays, and the weak one might probably require 4 sprays, if that makes sense. You have to, come up with the ratios for them to smell great. But with this one, definitely, both of them are on the beast mode side, and even though I would think this would be a lot stronger because it's the vanilla, but I feel like HACIVAT is a lot stronger even though they're fresher notes. So I kind of do 3 sprays of this first, and then 2 sprays of this on top. But again, it will work differently on other people, so try it and see, and then come back here and let me know what you think of this combination. And if you've tried this combination, also please let me know what you think. The next layering combination is something I've done for ever since pretty much I was doing fragrance reviews, and ever since I've owned these fragrances. And this is a very smart I guess layering combination, because it really does work, and it kind of reminds me of the end result of Pina Colada. So we're talking about Creed's AVENTUS with Creed's Virgin Island water. You've got the pineapple here, and you've got the kind of the coconutty, limey kind of a combination. So you have that kind of a Pina Colada combination. Very tropical, very happy, uplifting, fun, fresh. And you know, just something very comforting. I think the combination really does work, and it kind of puts you in that kind of a vacation, tropical getaway kind of a mood, because that smell is really, really beautiful, and it really does work. It really does transport you to some kind of a island getaway when you're, you know, sitting at the beach or on the sand, and you're sipping on cocktails and just, you know, chilling out kind of a thing. So these two are definitely two of the better combinations, and once again you'll have to figure out what the ratios would be of each fragrance so it'll work perfectly. But I'm sure if you have these fragrances, you've either, you know, thought about making that pina colada like combination, or you've accidentally kind of like sprayed them and discovered that they smell great together. So either way, Creed's Aventus with Creed's Virgin Island Water is a great layering combination. So this next one was sort of an accidental layering combination, but it really does work. I think it really does work great. But I think what was going on was I was first wearing AKRO's Smoke, which is a very resinous, smoky fragrance. It has lots of smoke in it, but once the smoke disappears, but I think the smoke lasts throughout, but once it starts disappearing, it starts reminding me of Tobacco Vanille. I haven't tried this layering combination with Tobacco Vanille because Tobacco Vanille doesn't have that smokiness that this one does. So this Smoke by AKRO layered with Bois d'Argent from Dior is such a great combination, because there is benzoin here and there's myrrh here. They're both resins and they do complement one another. They're both kind of sweet resins, kind of vanillic, a little more different between the two, but still very sweet resins. And this one has the powdery touches of the iris in here. So the two together is so beautiful. If you like the idea of AKRO but you thought it was ultra smoky, like over the top smoky, this, when you spray it on top, does kind of control the sprays and kind of like tones down the smokiness. So when you're thinking it's too smoky and you like the idea of the smoke, and this actually kind of like enhances it and kind of like tones down the smokiness, but also makes it a little more resinous and adds that powdery touch, and the combination is just gorgeous, really beautiful, and they really do work. You know, when you're thinking about doing layering, you have to think of complementing notes first of all, and will they work together? And you know, when you look up the notes for these two fragrances, resin here, smoke here, powdery iris here, I think the idea will work great together. Try it if you have these two fragrances. It doesn't change the smell too much, but it enhances it, you know? The smokiness, as I said, is toned down. You got a little bit of powdery touch amped up from Bois d'Argent, and then the entire wearing experience seems just a little more beefier, you know? Like more substance to it. So I like it. I really do like this combination. So it's AKRO Smoke with Dior's Bois d'Argent. A great layering combination. So this is an obvious combination, and I had to try it as soon as I actually got both of these fragrances. This is from the house of Louis Vuitton. This is Ombre Nomade with Les Sables Roses. And so Ombre Nomade is the oud, and Les Sables Roses is actually more rose with oud under there. There's also a little watery, dewy, slight aquatic ambergris-like quality here, whereas this one is the manly, beastly kind of experience with light, very light rosy touches and fruity touches, but it's very resinous and oudy. Western oud, though it's not the you know, the Middle Eastern oud, but the two together really work wonderfully together. You know, it's like a male, female, they join together and they create a really beautiful creation, you know? So since this has oud, obviously it's oud, and this has light oud, and rose and oud combination is already something that people do all the time. Brands release fragrances that have this combination. So that these two together work wonderfully. This is the more kind of feminine leaning one, and not necessarily I'm saying it's a feminine fragrance, just, you know, that some of the notes are a little more feminine to me, and with the masculine touch here, I think they do come together and work really great. So you'll have an oudy fragrance with lots of rose, and the combination is really gorgeous. So you should definitely try these two if you have them. I think if you're looking for something different in both, then you'll end up you know, having a little bit of a different fragrance. Like if you have both of these, then you'll end up with a third fragrance, if that makes sense. So Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade and Les Sables Roses is a great combination if you haven't tried it already. So going back to the house of AKRO, but first of all, it's the house of Tiziana Terenzi. This is URSA, and layered with AKRO's HAZE. So one thing I do want to mention is Simplistic fragrances do wear or layer better than complex fragrances. Or if you have one very complex fragrance, match it with a more simplistic fragrance, because two like really busy fragrances will make for a very busy experience, so the layering might not work out. I find AKRO's fragrances not overly complex, but really great releases, but Tiziana Terenzi's fragrances are overly complex, intense experiences, so then when they come together here, they work really, really great. What I like about URSA is the fruity notes, the rum, the patchouli, and that animalic leather. And with the AKRO haze, it's a cannabis experience, but I don't think they're really using any cannabis. They're using different green notes to create an accord, so it has that kind of like cannabis-like experience. There is licorice in here. There's like a bitter kind of camphoric touches. So it really does join wonderfully with URSA. So it tones down the sweetness from URSA. I forgot to mention there's vanilla here as well. And there's vanilla fruits, rum, patchouli, and then of course leather, as I said. So the sweeter parts kind of tone down because you're getting a lot of green aromatic, herbal, camphoric touches in here kind of joining together. And the other thing you have to also do with these two, this one's a lot weaker than this, so if you're spraying 2 of this, you probably have to spray 4, maybe even 5 or 6 of this to kind of like marry correctly in order for it to be the correct ratio. But the combination is really, really great. I really do enjoy this one. Because this is kind of bitter and camphoric and green and herbal, this has a sweetness, so it kind of like tones down each other to make it actually really, really great. So try this one if you don't know it. It's URSA from Tiziana Terenzi with AKRO's Haze. So the next layering combination, we're going to the house of Goldfield and Banks, and 2 fragrances from this house combined together beautifully. The first one is Wood Infusion, and the next one is White Sandalwood. So sandalwood wood, it's a woody combination. Great, right? This one has a really strong, I should say, overdose maybe? No, just a big amount of oranges, so it's a great oudy kind of woody orange combination fragrance. This one is roses with sandalwood, so roses and oud kind of work together, right? The two together really do work wonderfully because you're adding sandalwood to the wooden experience here with Wood Infusion, and then you'll have that citrusy touch from the oranges, but the rose in here really does marry the Wood Infusion really beautifully, and then of course the sandalwood, as I was saying. Now the two together, I think Wood Infusion is a lot stronger than White Sandalwood, so once again you'll have to like come up with a correct ratio to get the sprays correct, but this all is very subjective. It might be fine with 3 of each with you, but for me I felt like I had to do at least 1 more spray of White Sandalwood. If I was doing 2 here, I would do 3 here, if that makes sense. But the combination is great, and again, it's that same combination of marrying rose with oud, and you have a great fragrance, and that's what you get with this one. So Goldfield and Banks, Wood Infusion with White Sandalwood is a great layering combination. So the next layering combination is something that I actually thought would work great together, because I bought these 2 fragrances at the same time at Heathrow Airport duty-free on my way back from London early 2019. This is Bois Mystérieux from the House of GUERLAIN, and this is Rosa Absolute from Molton Brown. Unfortunately, I think this has been discontinued, so you might want to look into this or replace this with a similar fragrance. But I felt like this could be enhanced a little bit if you added rose, but this is so complex and intense, you don't want something complex and intense layered together with it. You want something a little more minimalistic, mostly about the rose, and that's what I get here. It's a spicy rose, but it's not an overly complex fragrance. And the two together make for, something like a Portrait of a Lady, like a combination, a spicy rose, leathery, kind of resinous and things like that. So this one has lots of resins, myrrh and leather, and then it has aromatic spicy notes, bay laurel, some cumin. So of course, this beautiful, gorgeous, spicy rose, kind of watery, jammy at the same time, but mostly that married together, I think it really does, produce a beautiful layering combination. Again, this is a lot stronger than Rosa Absolute, so this one you have to once again, the ratio. It depends on how much rose you want, a little or more. If you want the rose to be kicking more than this, then you would do double the amount of this. So just play around with it, but the combination is great. And as as I said, if this is still not around, or it's not around anymore, find something similar, a very simplistic rose, maybe a soliflor or something, and then you can join these two fragrances together to produce a beautiful layering combination. So that's Guerlain's Oud Mystérieux with Molton Brown's Rosa Absolute. The next combination is something I was told about. This was told to me at a Neiman Marcus, not recently, a long time ago actually. But when they told me, I wasn't really into the idea of layering. I think what really sparked my interest with layering is the combination of HACIVAT with the 100 Silent Ways. Because it smelled so good, I thought, you know what, if I can come up with my own unique original creations, it should really be a great thing. And you know, layering things have been told to me all the time. Like when I went to the Joe Malone counter in the 2000s, that's exactly what they were doing, like trying to sell me on two fragrances and say you can produce your, you know, unique creation with this fragrance. Either way, this was recommended by the associates at Neiman Marcus for Atelier Cologne. Orange Sanguine and Vanille Insensé. It's kind of like an orange creamsicle kind of a combination. So if you want this kind of spicy vanilla mixed with like mostly very simplistic and orange juicy kind of a fragrance experience, the marriage is a match made in heaven, sort of kind of a thing. So if you like gourmands, which this is, but it's a spicy vanilla, add the orange to it and you end up with a kind of a orange vanillic gourmand creation. I really like it. Both of them are really great, and once again, I think these fragrances, they're not overly complex, so layering is a fun thing you could do with these kind of fragrances, and these two definitely work. If you like the idea of vanilla with oranges, definitely try these two. Orange Sanguine with Vanille Insensé. And you know what, I have one more orange and vanilla combination that should be coming up very soon. So this is a great combination that I thought would not work, but it really works. So I've got this really intense animalic oud fragrance from the house of Strangelove New York City, or NYC, Dead of Night, combined with Masaki Matsushima's Chocolate Matte. Wow, the combination is so good. If you think that this is overly animalic and you want to tone it down, add some chocolate to it, and that's exactly what it'll do. It'll make it a kind of a gourmand animalic fragrance that's to die for, to wear. The combination is really delicious, guys, and I really like this oud. It's a little challenging, it's overly animalic, intense, beast mode, things like that come to mind. But for me, it's mostly the beastly fragrance because of its animalic touches, not necessarily like the way the fragrance wears. But again, it could be a little overly animalic, so you get the creamy chocolatey touch with this one and marry it with this, and you kind of tone down the animalic touches. It's oud, of course, it's woody, and then you have the, you know, creamy chocolate here that's milk chocolatey, and the two together work really great. Try these two if you can, or if you have a simplistic chocolate fragrance, you know, marry it with something like Dead of Night from Strangelove, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It actually makes it really delicious, still being animalic, still being oudy woody, but very easy to wear kind of a thing. So Strangelove New York City, Dead of Night, Masaki Matsushima Chocolate Matte, great combination. Recently somebody actually suggested I do this layering combo, and this is something that I've thought about for quite some time, and I actually really enjoy the combination. This is layering Juliette Hazegun's Vanilla Vibes with Maison Margiela's Beach Walk, kind of sort of similar ideas. Beach Walk is not necessarily overly vanillic. This is vanillic and salty. This is salty, musky skin, kind of a skin scent. It's supposed to smell like suntanned or suntan lotion, skin baked under the sun with salt dipped in the ocean kind of a thing. So the two together really does work wonderfully. So with Vanilla Vibes, I don't get much aquatic touches. I guess it could be beachy. This one has aquatic touches, more beachy, but still has aquatic touches and some saltiness. So the two together kind of makes for a little more aquatic experience, because salt water, salt in here, not necessarily salt in here, but you know, beachy aquatic touches, and the two really enhances each fragrance to create a really unique experience. And with this one, I think you need to play with it to see which combination works best to you. Do you increase this one over this one, or do you increase this one over this one? You have to play around with it. When you increase this one, it becomes more aquatic. When you increase this one, it becomes more salty, beachy kind of a thing. But I think it's a great combination, definitely worth trying. And both are about the same price, $130, $130, I think, somewhere around there. And I think they work similarly. This is an eau de parfum, I believe. This is an eau de toilette. So this might be the more intense offering between the two, but I think they wear very similarly to make together. They wear similarly, and actually, so try these two. I think you're going to really enjoy that combination. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Jo Malone, and I've got two combinations here for Jo Malone. This is Oud and Bergamot with Orange Blossom. Oh my god, this fragrance combination is to die for. Really, really to die for. And actually, it, you know, extends the life a little bit as well, because both of these are eau de colognes, although the dark bottles are supposedly stronger. This is all floral citrus, and this has that bergamot, which is all citrus with the oud. So you're basically adding this, the flowers of the citrus in here to give it a floral touch with the citrus, because this is, of course, a citrus flower. It enhances the citrus in here, and then you have that oud in there as well. The combination is really, really beautiful. And as I said, they were actually telling me at Jo Malone counters, you can layer, please layer, do this one, do that one. Oh, I layer them, and you should check out mine. This combination really is beautiful. I think it's a great one. And again, they're simplistic fragrances and easy to layer, and not overly complex where it'll kind of get convoluted and really, really strong and kind of not pleasant, if that makes sense. These two definitely work, and I think you guys should definitely try it if you have both. It wears beautiful. So that's Jo Malone Oud and Bergamot with Orange Blossom. The next combination is that other citrus vanilla, orange vanilla combination, and I'm going to the house of I Profumi di Firenze. This is Vaniglia del Madagascar, and this is Arancio di Sicilia, or Sicilia, from the same house. And basically Arancio is oranges, of course Vanilla del Madagascar is vanilla. It has some floral touches and musky touches in there, and this has some green touches in there as well. And the two together really do work wonderfully. I do have to admit though, the Vaniglia del Madagascar is a lot stronger than the Arancio de Sicilia, so you're going to have to, if you're doing 2 sprays of this, probably 4 or 5 of this to kind of end up with something correct, or you do 1 of this and 2 or 3 of this one, so that you'll have the correct ratio. But this is all kind of a, you know, trial and error thing, so you'll try some and it doesn't work. The next time you try it, it works great, kind of a thing. But beautiful combination, and I love this. Oranges with vanilla are really, really delicious, I think. So those two really work wonderfully. The next house or houses we're going to go to is Indult Tihota with Dame Perfumery's Chocolate Man. And what do we get here? All vanilla, all chocolate. You got a combination of a vanilla chocolate gourmand. That's really, really beautiful. Both of them have musky touches, and both of the fragrances are kind of sort of simplistic. All you get here is vanilla and musk. All you get here is chocolate with musk. There's probably a little bit of a nutty touch under there as well, like hazelnuts or something I get. But the two together really, really work great. But once again, the Tihota is a lot stronger than Dame Perfumery's Chocolate Man. So you're going to have to do, you know, 2 sprays here, 4 here, kind of a thing, to figure out what works the best. But if you like the idea of marrying vanilla and chocolate together to wear as a fragrance for a layering combination, these two are really, really beautiful together here. So this is Tihota from Indult, and this is Chocolate Man from Dame Perfumery. The next layering combination, we're going to the house of by Kilian, and the first one is Black Phantom, and the next one is Intoxicated. So here's a great combination because we're looking for complementing notes, right? Black Phantom has coffee in it, but it has lots of gourmand notes. Intoxicated is about coffee with cardamom. So the two together actually enhances the coffee experience, but takes it into the gourmand direction, if that makes sense. So if you're digging this, but you want a little more coffee, you can add this, and vice versa, kind of a thing, if that makes sense. The only thing that I would recommend about this one, Intoxicated seems like it's going to be wimpy, but it really does match the strength of this one, because that cardamom note in here is so strong and pungent. You have to like really control your sprays with this one, because it can get in the way sometimes. So if you like this fragrance and you want a little more coffee added, I would do this one with increased sprays and less sprays of this one, if that makes sense, because that cardamom can get in the way a little bit. But the two together, once you find the right ratio of sprays, I think is really, really delicious, because amping up the coffee in here makes for a much yummier experience with Black Phantom. So Black Phantom married with Intoxicated, a great layering combination. The next fragrance combination is something that I think you're gonna like. If you like the idea of purple oud and you can't afford it, but you have these two fragrances, you kind of end up with something similar to purple oud from Dior. This is Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme and Encre Noire à la Extrême. The combination kind of reminds me of purple oud to me. I've always thought purple oud reminded me of both Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Absolute and then also Encre Noire. So layer them together and smell them with purple oud and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I think this is vetiver. This has vetiver in it. This also has leather. This one I don't think has leather, but it has some other pungent notes. There's some resins in here. There might be some leathery touches, but it's not necessarily leather. There might be some oudy touches, but there's definitely not oud in there. But the two together, as I said, the combination really does work. And you know, vetiver enhancing vetiver or vice versa. And then you end up having it smell a little bit like purple oud. If you're looking for that kind of a fragrance, I think this is the great layering combination here. It makes for a very masculine offering. Both of these are very masculine leaning fragrances. So if you like that idea, definitely try these two together. So this is Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme, and this is Encre Noire. It's Lalique's Encre Noire à la Extrême. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about is these two fragrances. Go into the house of Rubini with Tambour Sacré, a coffee fragrance, and then Dior's Ombre Nuit. So this is all very dry coffee with tuberose, and here we have an amber with ambergris and rose, and the two together makes for a beautiful enhanced experience, whereas here it seems a little light for an amber. It's not very thick and syrupy. I mean, it is syrupy, but it's not necessarily thick and drippy kind of syrupy experience. It's a very easy amber to wear, and so you're adding some coffee experience to it and then tuberose to it, and it adds some green touches to it from this because the tuberose in here is green, but a beautiful combination of an amber with like a coffee-like experience with a tuberose thrown in. I never thought that this would work, but it was an accidental you know, discovery, and I was like, what in the world is that smell? I love it. And I had to think back of what I had sprayed, and I had sprayed this and then I sprayed this on top. So this is the more weaker of the two, I believe, in from experience. I think this is a lot more concentrated than this, so this one you will need to spray more than this, but again, it's all very subjective. You're gonna have to do the trial and error thing and see what works best for you. But Ombre Nuit from Dior and this is Rubini's Tambour Sacré. The two together I think are a great combination. If you don't know them, try them, and if you don't have these two fragrances, you can always find something other similar to it as well to try. But either way, those are great fragrances to layer with. All right, we're almost at the end of the video, but these two are both masculine offerings, and I just really love the way these layer. This is Loewe 001 Man with Zino Davidoff EDT. EDP EDT here, but really this isn't kind of an animalic, woody, patchouli fragrance from the late 80s. This is a kind of a beautiful, savory, carrot seed, powdery violet kind of a combo. Very sexy. The two make for a major sexy combination. Powdery, patchouli, woods together, explosion time, really. It's a very sexy combination, and this one was also a very accidental you know, experience. I discovered it very accidentally as I was testing fragrances out. I've been speaking about this one and this one more recently than this one, but I was trying them out side by side, and somehow they got on top of one another, and I was like, wow, that is a beautiful combination, a great combination. It is very masculine, but I think this one, it's vegetal, and it's a little, it's not necessarily a little powdery, it's a lot powdery. It does remind me of iris, but it's carrot seeds, but a beautiful combination. I think the two to work go wonderfully together, and it was such a great discovery that I really dig. So this is Loewe 001 Man and Zino Davidoff Eau de Toilette. The next one is another Jo Malone. This is the last Jo Malone combination. This one works really well as well. We're doing one more black bottle and one more clear bottle. This is bronze, wood, and leather, and wood, sage, and sea salt, or salt, which say, yeah, it's wood, sage, and sea salt. Man, this is so good. So bronze, wood, and leather kind of reminds me of Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Absolute a little bit. But I think it's also created by Alberto Morillas, who created the Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. But here, it's so dark and animalic, crazy for a Jo Malone. But with this one, it's so bright and uplifting and sparkly and salty. It's a sea breeze and, you know, aromatic sage and things like that. It brightens everything up. But the two together make for a masculine offering, but it tones down the masculine touches of this one, makes it a little more unisex, still masculine, but brightens things up a little bit, makes it a little salty and a little, you know, aromatic and a little easier to wear. But beautiful combination, once again, similar to the other Jo Malone, the Bergamot and Oud and Bergamot and the Orange Blossom here. It really tones down the intensity of the bronze wood and leather, and you know, it's a little more easy to gravitate towards and, you know, experience something that's really intense by adding the very, very bright, beautiful, uplifting experience of wood, sage, and sea salt. These really work great together. I'm really, really curious to try more layering combinations with dark bottles versus light bottles. We'll see how it goes. And once again here, this is a lot more intense than this, so you'll need more sprays of this than this, but try these and I think you'll have a great time smelling yourself after putting those two together. And my last layering combination is with KIEHL'S Original Musk with L'Herbolario Mejares. So a lot of you say that this is very similar to Musk Ravageur, and I have a video coming out this comparing to Musk Ravageur. Stay tuned for that very soon. I finally have a bottle. I think if you want Musk Ravageur, you must try this, layer it with Original Musk from KIEHL'S, because I feel like this is missing the musk that Musk Ravageur has, and the fact that this is kind of on the light side, this is a lot resinous and ambery, so the two together takes it closer to the experience of Musk Ravageur, if that's what you're looking for. Both of them are inexpensive, although this costs a lot more because it costs so much to ship. It was about $20 or can't remember, $30 to ship this to me, where the bottle is $30. So it was $20. So no, it was $30 I think, because it cost me about $60 for each for a bottle like this. And so it is on the pricey side when you're having it shipped, but I think in Europe you guys can get this for really inexpensive. And more on that in my video about this fragrance in comparison to Musk Ravageur. But for me, it's more of a Musk Ravageur experience when you actually layer it with Original Musk, because I don't find a lot of musk in here. So the two also layer really, really beautifully together, where it'll really remind me of that Musk Ravageur-like experience. Anyway, this is my last recommendation. It's KIEHL'S Original Musk with L'Herbolario Mejares. And that's the end of the video. That's 20 different layering combinations. Let me know if you've tried these layering combinations. Let me know some of your favorite layering combinations with fragrances that I have here, or just fragrances in general. I'd like to find out what else to try. And this has become a little fun thing. It's almost like a bartender making up the fancy cocktails and things like that. And I think you could be your own perfume bartender or something and come up with your own unique concoctions. I like the idea of unique fragrances and smelling original compared to other people. And even though a lot of the fragrances I like are more original than what everybody else is wearing, I feel like it makes them even more original when you're layering them. I'm still not like 100% on board with layering, because I still prefer my fragrances on their own, but since I've discovered some of these and some people have told me about them, I really do like these particular combinations. Either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please do like this video, please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, did I save the best for last? No, I just decided to leave one of the layering combinations till after the outro. Since you're watching, if you are watching till the end, you'll discover this one last bonus, but not necessarily a bonus layering combination. So I really like two fragrances from two different houses. One of them is Eccentric Molecules, and it's Molecule 4. Focusing on Javanol, it's a synthetic note that smells like sandalwood. And another fragrance from a house called Santa Maria Novella, Tobacco Toscano, reminds me that it has sandalwoody touches, but it's a kind of a gourmandish light tobacco fragrance. So layer this one, Eccentric Molecules Molecule 4 with Tobacco Toscano to kind of enhance the qualities of both fragrances, not only to extend the life of this because this is an eau de cologne, but to give it a kind of a sandalwoody, creamy touch. Tobacco Toscano, I feel like there's sandalwood in it, but there's no mention of sandalwood. There's a tobacco and some other notes in there, but it's a creamy, smooth wear. Same with this one. This is a very creamy, milky, sandalwoody, smooth wear, and the two together smell fantastic. Not only will you have an extended life of Tobacco Toscano, you know, you'll have the enhancement of the smells combined together. I think this is a great layering combination, and I was trying to avoid layering combinations with Eccentric Molecules fragrances because I've spoken a lot about them, but I couldn't avoid this one, so I left it till the end after the outro. But you can do a lot with the Eccentric Molecules fragrances. Layer them with fragrances from this house or any house that focuses on eau de colognes. And stay tuned for a profile video of fragrances from Santa Maria Novella very soon with a giveaway. Anyway guys, thanks so much for staying till the end. And in this, as mentioned, please share with me your favorite layering combination in the comments section below. Have a good one. Bye-bye.